What is going on, everyone? My name is Orion, and thank you for tuning in. Now, in today's video, I'm going to give you an idea on how to trade this market during the whole disputes going on around the world. The war with Iran, we have issues with other countries trying to, figure out should they jump in or not. But then we see a lot of news-driven things going on in the market, and it's getting really, really crazy. Just months ago, the market was trading a little bit average, right? We had a rally going on. As you can see, we've rallied for a good minute. Then we had the whole AI issues and whatnot. But I want to mention to you, this is all live before I jump in, right? This is all live. The SPY right now in today's date, which is March 24th. I want to explain to you. Oh, wow. Look at that candle right there. You can see that green candle going up. That means some news came out. Let's see what the news that they have in routers. Pakistan offers to host peace talks to end U.S.-Israeli war. We have that news coming on. That's what routers. Let's see. CNBC is talking about nothing yet. Okay. Now let's dive in. This chart right here, we have four things open. We have SPY on the 5-minute chart, SPY on the daily chart. We have the gold. We have the oil futures. Okay, the reason I have all of these is because right now we're in this dispute against each other, like the war and all of that. I'm not sure if I can say that here on YouTube Live or whatever, but doesn't matter. This is what's going on, right? It's affecting the oil. It's affecting the market. It's bringing uncertainty. It's all news driven. Before this whole thing started, the market was trading really well. The SPY is made up of multiple companies. And as you can see here, of the Mag 7, we have the ones that move the market, like NVIDIA. If NVIDIA went down, it'd bring the market down with it, like the SPY ETF. If Apple moved all the way down as well too, that affected the market. But most of the market going up, right, like the SPY, was because of the Mag 7. Everybody was talking about the Magnificent 7 pushing up the market, all-time highs, and all of that. But we're not in that scenario right now. Right now, we're in a market that is bringing a lot of fear into people. It's causing a lot of, uncertainty. Should I place a trade? Should I not? And before any of this happened, when you placed a trade, it just went up. It was always bullish. But then the AI issues happened. There was fear sparking with people saying, AI. And then we had, the Fed meetings. They were talking about interest rate cuts. Now they're talking about, stalling on the interest rate cut, and just many more news driven factors. And that's where we're at. When anything comes out, like an article was published that minute, the market would move now. So I have the SPY here, the oil futures and the gold. This is the strategy or the way, right, that I'm trading the market right now. Okay, starting with the crude oil, we do know that there's a war going on. I have shown you here, we have how the SPY will react and how oil will react. Let me just move these things out the way. Now, if the war affects oil, right, and the war stops, this is how SPY is going to react. If the war continues and there's just issues with the Strait of Hormuz, it starts to escalate, the market's going to go down. And when I mean by the market, I'm talking about the SPY, right? Because this is how the SPY will react. If the war stops, if there's peace talks, and there's a solution to all of this, buyers are going to step in and this market will rally. The problem with that is it's all news driven, and here I wrote it down. This market is news driven. Anytime anything comes out, it will move the market. But if nothing comes out, the market is going to grind up or down slow. Mainly down. It'll be just like a zombie walking in the street, taking his time. And that is what the SPY was looking at for the past couple of days, if not weeks. And it was annoying because traders would jump in, and it's like we had the stop loss, but it would get to the stop loss super, super slow. And that sucks. I know many of you traders have probably jumped in the market thinking, oh, we have a double bottom. We have a pullback. This is going on. Oh, it's not really going to affect the market. No, I know what happened, because I myself have taken losses because the fundamentals weren't working. The technical analysis wasn't there. And what I mean by that is I did have my support and resistance. I have all of those things. But because everything was news driven, it just threw all of that out the window. One little tweet, something comes out on CNBC, and it threw everything off. Now, how will oil react? Oil will react if the war affects oil, it continues to escalate. Oil's going to go up. And that's how I marked it green. Oil's going to rally. But if the war stops, right, oil is going to fall. It's going to become bearish, and that is the scenario that we do want, right? Because if oil continues to go up and stays high, it's going to show more news coming out of, recession, inflation. You have to understand that oil is almost in everything that we use, pens, shoes, all of those things. So if oil goes up in price, so will the things in, our everyday purchases will go up in price. That's the problem with all of this. And I would advise you, I'm, not to think that this market is going to rally the next day. I would advise you to think in a way that's being real at the moment and understanding that, okay, we're in a war. There's this going on. How should my trading be? Your trading should be small, right? As you can see here, I took a position at 650 to 653. Not so much of a big move. It was in and out. And here, this was news driven as well. I waited 15, 20 minutes. Every time the market opens, I usually wait 15, 20 minutes. Or sometimes I kind of see what's going on in the pre-market. So I can usually take a trade or see where the support and resistance can be at. But when this piece came out, this piece of news came out on routers, it was talking about peace talks. And that's what made everybody think, oh, the market's going to go up because now the war is de-escalating. And what did I mean about that? How SPY will react if there's de-escalation or the war stops. The market's going to go up. But if a piece of news comes out saying that there is no peace talks, or if the Strait of Hormuz is still affected, or even if oil tanker was taking its time because of the issues and the fear, that means the oil is affected, right? And that SPY is going to go down. Now on the gold, we haven't talked about the gold, but as you can see, gold has been rallying for a good minute. And I believe that gold is an asset to hedge for moments like these. It's a good investment, but it's usually used for situations where, for example, this war. I know that this piece right here wasn't really, I have to check why this kind of took a dip, but this was gold's natural dip right here. Throughout, the months and the years, right? And I have it all written down here. This was COVID. Oil spiked during COVID. And this was the Russia and Ukraine. It spiked as well. Let me see if I can move this here so you can see it did a spike as well. And then the banks, this is what's interesting. The banks were talking about, gold is going to be a really good asset to invest right now. And if you remember, that was down to the 2000s. Right now, gold is at 4,400. As you can see, 4,400. It even reached up to 5,500, 5,600. That's amazing. If you would have invested into gold back in 2022, right, and ignored all the things that people were, talking down about, it's like, it doesn't go up as much, you would have been sitting on a pretty good penny. And the reason I have gold here is because the Fed was talking about interest rate cuts. We've been hoping for the interest rate cuts. And right now, it seems to me that what I've just read, they're going to stall on those interest rate cuts. But not just that, they also have the investigation going on with Jerome Powell. And that's going to be tricky, you know. We would think that he'd step down and then let the other guy come in, and then hopefully, like we were promised, right, an interest rate cut. But, you know, with this whole investigation going on, I guess he has the right to stay until the investigation finishes. And so that's where we're at. You know, SPY has been getting beaten up. You know, we had our Santa Claus rally, of course, like everybody mentioned Santa Claus rally, but we also had these interesting dips, as you can see here. And now we just been going down. You know, it's been bad news, right? Interest rate cuts, or interest rate stalls as well. And then we had the war going on, just beating up the SPY. We've already hit November's monthly low, as you can see here. We still might, or we were that close to reaching August monthly high. And here I have September's monthly low, which I'm hoping we don't reach. But at this moment, if this continues to escalate, you know, the war, we just might reach. And I'm hoping we can go back to the whole Mag 7, the fundamentals, and of course, the technical analysis. We can go back to just regular trading. But like I mentioned to y'all, this market right here is basically news driven. I want you to remember that. You know, take a screenshot, take a picture of this. This is going to be your path to making good trades, or having a successful trade, or even just having an idea of what to do, you know, especially with this market that's news driven. How SPY will react, of course, you can see here, and how oil will react. Now, with that being said, like I mentioned, take trades, but don't take big trades. In and out. Remember the game Call of Duty? We hated people who would camp, and we would, you know, play, and we'll be doing really good, and then we get sniped by a camper. It sucked, right? But in this moment of trading, that's how you should be. You should find quality trades. You should be patient. Let the trade come to you, but also remember that this trade is not gonna be promised, you know, all the way. Maybe you're looking for a $3 move, $4 move on the SPY. Don't look at that right now. Look at $1 to a $2 move, in and out. Do not stay too long, because this market's news driven. You know, the war is affecting it. Oil is just, I don't know what oil, I'm sorry. Gold is just, you know, doing its thing right now. But, you know, pace yourself in this market and keep your losses small. Keep them real small. Remember, there's going to be another trading day. I hope this helps on your trading journey. And this is exactly what I'm using to take my trades. And understand that, you know, this is not the only trade you'll ever take. So remember that. If it's a losing trade, remember there's always another trading day. And with that being said, I will see y'all in the next video.